ceasefire in Syria to commence at midnight on the 27th, Russia and U.S. So it looks like Russia and the United States have agreed on a ceasefire over in Syria starting on midnight, I believe, on Thursday. And this to me is just more stalling, more ploys, more bullshit coming out by both sides, because Russia and the U.S. aren't fighting each other at this point. So technically, it's not really a ceasefire because the Islamic State and Turkey and Assad's forces are still fighting. They haven't agreed to any of this, as far as I understand. So you've still got Iran in there. You've still got a whole bunch of fighting going on, and this could easily just be stalling and just a ploy to let ISIS regroup and rearm and reposition themselves. So we'll keep an eye on this. I don't think it's going to happen. They tried a ceasefire last week, and it didn't work. And as we all know, Russia and the U.S. are renowned for not holding up their word and keeping their word as far as ceasefires go. Just look at what happened in Ukraine. You know, they tried that like 8 times and it didn't work. So I don't. I mean, it would be great if this happened, but I don't see this. Like I said, I don't see this happening, because this means that the U.S. and NATO and the Western alliances have basically decided that they're going to give up in Syria, and they've invested too much time and too much money. So Saudi Arabia and Turkey to let Syria fall and let Assad stay in power. I would be very surprised if this, winded down and the U.S. just basically left Syria alone. So we'll keep our eye on that. Other news going on. U.S. sends 5,000 tons of ammo to Germany to help NATO alliance. They've sent more than the largest amount in 10 years, the military announced, adding that the shipment will help to continue to enable NATO alliance and defend its allies. So that's just more stuff coming out that shows that they're not backing down, and just basically they're going to be giving this to all the NATO forces that are on the Russian border right now, as well as other areas in Europe. So let's see. This article is pretty interesting. I'll leave a link for this one from the Economic Collapse blog. Michael Snyder, World War III could very easily turn into the very first nuclear war in the Middle East, talking about how now Saudi Arabia has nukes and Iran probably does as well, and that the Russians have tactical nukes over in the area, and if there's a full-blown ground invasion in Syria, someone could ultimately decide to use nuclear weapons when their backs get pushed against the wall, and has these videos here, showing that Saudi Arabia definitely has nukes. Talks with Dwayne Claridge, very, very respected and esteemed CIA operations officer, and basically says that it's likely that Russia may be the first ones to use these tactical nukes, because if the invasion happens by Saudi Arabia and Turkey, they would outnumber the Russians. The Russians only have a small, relatively small force over in Syria, so the only way that Russia can keep the Sunni powers out of Damascus is to use tactical nukes. So, very good article. I'll leave that for you guys. ISIS might launch reprisal terrorist attacks in EU and US, according to Colonel Steve Warren. Just more fear-mongering and warnings coming out that, a false flag may happen from ISIS because their backs are against the wall and they're being basically defeated in Syria. So, what else have I got here? So I'm going to get into something a little different here. There's a gentleman by the name of Major Ed Dames. I'm not sure if any of you guys are familiar with him. He describes something called the killshot event. I'll go to my notes here just so I can give you a quick background of who he is. He basically worked for the government in the intelligence agency. If I can freaking load this thing, come on. So, Major Ed Dames holds remote viewing workshops around the country in an effort to build a base of vocationally oriented remote viewers. And basically, remote viewing involves the use of the subconscious mind to envision persons, places, or things in the present and future. And him and his viewers are known for predicting UG99, which is a swift-moving stem rust disease that originated in Africa and is killing wheat crops across the world right now. They also predicted the 9.0 earthquake in Indonesia that caused the death of over 250,000 people due to the tsunami, and as well as the Fukushima disaster, which we all know about. And his future predictions include an economic collapse that will occur on a global scale, and talking about how the mainstream media will and the pundits in Washington will come out and say that the recovery is basically saying the recovery is a huge lie. He also states, and this is interesting to me, I'm going to show you a quick video, just snippets of it, and then I'll leave a link for the whole video. He predicts that North Korea will use a nuke on the Korean peninsula out of anger, and then he also says, and his viewers are seeing, that a space shuttle is being forced down by a meteor shower, and during the time of global war, it will be disrupted by a huge astronomical event, which could possibly be Nibiru. So let me show you just a few. This guy's been ridiculed by some people out there, but then a lot of people hold him in very high esteem because some of his predictions have come true. He was the creator of the technical remote viewing. He is a decorated military intelligence officer for the U.S. Army, and he was even mandated on to brief on daily or weekly basis the DIA, NSA, and sometimes the president even and his advisors. So it was a whole top secret psychic espionage unit that he worked for, and then it became declassified. Now he's holding these workshops across the world. So just listen to this real quick. Just a few tidbits.
What else did viewers foresee coming over the horizon?
We picked up the use of a nuclear weapon on the Korean Peninsula by the North Koreans, and this event would be one of the last events that humans recognize before the killshot sequence begins. We haven't seen that yet.
This prediction was revealed years ago to the public on the Coast to Coast AM radio show. At the time, the nation had zero nuclear.
You guys can watch this whole thing, so, and then he goes on to
What
talk
would
about
be that final recognizable event just prior to the killshot sequence? The best that we could come up with, pushing ahead, the best that we could come up with was what appeared to be a space shuttle being forced down by what appears to be a meteor shower or something like that. For those of you who are not remote viewers, let me give you a little bit of shuttle event and the beginning of the killshot sequence. We know as viewers, and I have personally viewed this particular event on a number of times because it's so powerful, that all of these warring parties that we see on the planet, all these many wars, that on the ground, all of these soldiers look up in the sky. They all look up. So something is happening in the sky. In fact, there's probably unprecedented atmospheric effects that in recorded history, perhaps.
So I'll leave that for you guys. Very interesting stuff. Obviously, this guy has predicted stuff in the past, and now he's talking about stuff that's actually happening right now with meteors. This just came out. Huge fireball explodes over Brazilian coast. It was one of the biggest ones we've seen since the one that happened in Russia and just came out. No one really knew about it. And then we've got North Korea pledging attack on the U.S. mainland if high-density strike. Military drills go ahead. CNN, North Korea would use a weapon of mass destruction to save regime. And North Korea threatens to carry out attacks on mainland America. And, South Korea is holding the biggest drill ever with 15,000 troops. And it basically including a staged preemptive strike drill on North Korea. So Pyongyang is pissed. So, we've got all this stuff going on. I'm going to leave links for all this stuff, including, the killshot event by Ed Dames talking about how a solar flare would take out the power grid, and this space shuttle that's in orbit right now that could be the space shuttle that he's talking about. It's on some secret mission. So that's all I got for you guys. Like I said, I'll leave all these links. Very interesting stuff going on, and I will see you guys in my next video. Take care.